Well, hello there. It's your favourite fresh air junkie, Nikki Hardy, and welcome to the Wildly Known Life podcast, where we connect science, faith, and wonder to help all us spiritually underwhelmed, grown up humans of the world say yes to that sacred tug within, so we can get our get up and go back from wherever it has got up and gone to and feel alive again. Now, before I go any further, I have had some funky stuff going on with my audio, so I am trying something new here, and I have no mic, no techie stuff going on, and it's just me and my computer, and I'm really hoping it's actually a little bit better. So bear with me if it is not up to our normal standards. I'm hoping this works the best for us both. So, if you feel closest to God in nature and you're looking for biblically sound, nature-based spiritual practices that move beyond prayer walks around the block and thanking God for stunning sunsets, you, my friend, are in the right place. Because while we love to get away from it all, the goal isn't to escape life. It's to live the one we have more fully alive with God. As you know, probably, I'm an author, speaker, and retreat leader and science nerd who loves to weave story, scripture, and science into prayers and practices we can carry into the woods, our morning routine, or a regular Tuesday afternoon, so that we can listen to God and our souls and what His sacred creation has to say. By the way, if this episode feels like a conversation you want to keep having, you can do two things. Firstly, I write and gather with this community over on Substack, and we'd love for you to join us. The links to do that are down in the show notes. And you can also hit subscribe on the podcast and leave a review. Not only will this ensure new episodes show up in your podcast feed, like next week's interview with Jennifer Dukes-Lee, all about how to love our mornings and the scripture and science behind that, but it will help others who need these words find them. Okay, thanks. That's it. Let's dive in. Let's get wild. Heraclitus said, "Even a soul submerged in sleep is hard at work and helps make something of the world." Now, according to the fancy running hiking watch I've got for my birthday last year, I had a short, unrestorative night's sleep last night, and I could use a little more sleep tonight. And to be honest, I could have told you that without having a miniature computer on my wrist. And as much as I love and hate having this watch and all the amount of data it can provide, it's helped me see how sensitive my sleep is to eating late, to a couple of glasses of wine, or anything that's worrying me. But again, I probably knew this to be true already. And don't get me started on sleep and menopause and the battle we women wage with hot sweats, waking up in the night, or not being able to get back to sleep. But whether you're a great sleeper or sleep is a constant battle for you, I'm sure we can all agree that it is a really hot topic right now. Apparently, a third of us don't get enough sleep and desperately want to sleep for longer, sleep more deeply and with fewer interruptions, which makes it unsurprising that the US sleep industry is worth $136 billion. And of course, it's growing year on year. But what exactly is sleep? What's the point of it? And why did God create us with the need to sleep a third of our lives, being horizontal and seemingly unproductive and unresponsive and unprotective? And yes, we know it's vital to our health and well-being, and the toll on our cognitive, emotional, and physical health if we're deprived of sleep for too long can be devastating. Why else would sleep deprivation be used as a means of torture? And the fact that a mere 24 hours with no sleep produces the same physical and cognitive impairment as being utterly drunk. Well, let's face it, God could have designed us to not need sleep. We would have been so much more productive. It would have been less dangerous for us. You know, sleep leaves us and our crops and our houses and our loved ones all utterly unprotected. Why would He do that? Why do we sleep? And like I said, yes, to reset and restore our bodies. But again, God could have designed us to not fatigue so quickly, to not have biological internal rhythms and circadian rhythms in line with the light and dark of the days. Heck, He could have made the world to be a 24-hour daylight and for us to not need sleep at all. So what is the deal? And can having some idea help us to sleep better? Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Sleep researchers have long been studying and debating the nature of sleep, its purpose, and how we optimize our sleep to feel more awake, live longer, and improve our health and well-being, and all that jazz. So I'm not going to suddenly solve the mystery here. But what I can do is point out a few places where the science, the scripture, and nature overlap, and point us to how we might get a better night's sleep. I'm going to share a couple of thoughts with you, and then a few things I've changed over the last year that have significantly improved my sleep, and therefore how alive and vital I feel during the day, and importantly, my ability to handle things when life hits the fan and lands in my inbox. Firstly, the thing that I'm trying to change is to see sleep as the gift that it is. Snuggled up under the covers, enjoying an extra hour's sleep is an easy time to see sleep as a gift. But when we're working on something exciting, we're out at a party, and the last thing we want to do is get to bed, like for example, when we are binge watching Netflix, sleep loses its status as a gift from God. We put it off. We tell ourselves the project or the next episode or this party is far more important, and we can make up for it later. I mean, I remember saying, sleep's for wimps. I'll do that later. But Psalm 127 verse 2 says, he gives sleep to those he loves. But I know I, for one, am guilty of not enjoying his gift or thinking it's something I have to earn rather than something God gives me simply because he is my father and I am his child. Like food and water, sleep is vital for our survival. And during deep sleep, our brain clears waste and toxins via our lymphatic system, which is almost inactive when we're awake. And our memory consolidates and our hormones regulates. That's including our hormones for stress and hunger. Our body is designed to respond to the shift in light and darkness. In the evening, as darkness descends, melatonin levels increase, making us sleepy. And in the morning, as light arrives, cortisol levels rise to wake us up. This is the rhythm of restoration and renewal God put in place at creation. There was night and day on the first day, not day and night. If you look, it says there was night and day on the first day. We start from rest. It's not a reward for activity or toil. It's a gift from God. Secondly, I'm working on seeing sleep as an act of trust and surrender. When we're asleep, we are utterly unproductive in the getting things done sense, not the body restoring itself sense, and we're totally unprotected. Every night, to sleep, we must surrender, let go of control, and trust that God's not going to drop the ball while we're out for the count. Psalm 121:4 says, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. God never sleeps on the job. The reason we can't sleep when we're stressed is stress and anxiety increase cortisol, which delays that sleep feeling, that feeling of feeling tired. It holds off the melatonin and it keeps our brain alert at night, stuck in rumination. If you've heard me speak about doubt and faith and the numerous scriptures that tell us not to doubt and have faith, you might have heard me say this, but whether we're talking about doubt or trusting God, he encourages us to do both. And for me, it's all about the tone with which we say it. When he says, trust God with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, is he saying it like, trust God, trust me, come on, don't be so ridiculous? Or is he saying, trust me, I'm here? Are we hearing it with a voice of love and concern and compassion and encouragement? We don't know why God created us to need sleep, but we do know it's a gift he's given us that requires us to trust fully and enjoy it. What might our sleep look like if we saw sleep as a gift, not as something to be managed or optimized? so we can get on with the important work of living our lives? What might our days look like in return if we trusted God and received the gift of sleep? How might our relationship with sleep change if we saw it as an act of trust, resistance even against the voices telling us to do more and be more, or a posture of worship even as we agree to let God be fully in control and surrender to his will each night? These are the questions I'm asking myself, not how many hours sleep do I need and what can I optimize and all the data from my watch. How can I see sleep as a gift? How can I go to sleep trusting God is not sleeping and he is not going to drop the ball? Before we end with a blessing, I thought I'd share a few things that have helped me sleep better over the last year. Believe it or not, my fancy watch data isn't on this list at all. First of all, and this sounds a bit weird, but I sniff the air. Like I said, I know that sounds weird, but especially when we're up in the mountains, before I turn the lights out and head to bed, I step outside the back door, look up at the night sky and breathe deeply. The act of getting outside, deep restorative breaths and moving my body, albeit slowly and just for a moment, resets my internal posture from the lights of the TV or the pace of the book I'm reading to a slower, more mindful one. It's a cue that it's time to turn in and rest. Another thing I do is I'm trying to get in the habit of listening to an evening prayer on the Lectio 365 app, and I'll link that down below. It's one of my favorite prayer apps, and I'll often let them read the nighttime blessing over me as I sit in bed. The other thing I've been doing is turning our bedroom into a place of calm that tells my brain it's safe to rest. Neither Al or I had a TV in our room growing up as kids, and we don't now. But with every tablet, phone, and computer being a TV itself, now it's easy to bring that habit into the bedroom. And we've purposefully chosen not to do that and only watch TV on the screen downstairs. And we've also removed any kind of cues or signs of our work and our jobs that might creep into the room. We don't leave papers lying around. We don't have our computer on the side. Anything that kind of instills this idea that this is a place of work. Our bedroom is a place of sleep and relaxation. That's it. I know that's not always possible, and sometimes over the years we've needed to squeeze a desk into our room. But even then, we found it really helpful to clear the desk, or at least tidy it, and have a clear close down routine to signify that that part of the day is done. We are no longer working, we are moving into time of rest and relaxation. To not let the desk be a distraction or scream at us with things to do. So let me ask you, what if sleep isn't something to fight, but something to receive? What if it's something not to optimize, but to trust God with? What if going to bed is one of the most spiritual things we can do all day? And we're going to close as we always do with a blessing or a prayer or a practice that you can take into the day. And today it's a blessing from Jan Richardson. And so, as we take time to be with God now, let's rest a moment in stillness, returning our wandering minds to his presence and responding with openness. Whether awake or asleep, a blessing by Jan Richardson. This is the blessing that writes itself in your sleeping. This is the blessing that inscribes itself in your waking. This is the blessing that twines through your heart with every beat, that lays itself across your brow in every moment, that breathes with you in every breath, so that even in your resting, you know, and even in your slumber, you are aware, and even in your dreaming, your heart keeps time with the voice that calls to you, awake, awake, awake. Thanks for spending time together on the Wildly Known Life podcast. And I'm excited to say that the podcast is growing quietly, mostly by word of mouth. And if you have been spreading the word, thank you so much. So if this episode spoke to you, like I said, subscribing is the simplest way to keep the conversation going and keep the episodes coming into your podcast feed. And leaving a review would be super helpful to help others find the podcast. And of course, the podcast is only one place where I share my work and write and speak. The deeper conversations and connections happen over at the Wildly Known Life on Substack, where I share behind the scene reflections, practices and notes I don't say out loud, even here, and where you can feel a little more part of our community. And you'll find the link for that down at the show notes, or just head over to nikkihardy.substack.com. Before you go, remember, sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves is to step outside, take a deep breath, drop our shoulders, and ask what our wildly wonderful God has to say. Because that's where coming alive in our life and faith begin, and living wildly known follows. All right, see you next time, friends.